So I'm spending the day with Mark in the shop this morning. We just got back from St. George and we did a big mountain biking trip. And right before we left, we actually put a bid on a piece of equipment. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that, and I wanted to discuss a little bit more about the dozer that we have sitting up on the greenhouse pad, and kind of also maybe our goals for 2025. All they are our goals. Honestly, it all depends on time and money on everything that we can accomplish on this property. Anyway, so I'll ask him some questions, and while he's working on his truck, so he'll probably be all over and I'll just follow him with the camera. I'm sure he'll love that. Is that like an air filter?
Yes.
Okay. Are you wanting to do this?
Do what?
Talk to me.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So the first question, what are we going to do with the dozer?
We're going to fix it. But it needs a lot of fixing. And the need and use for the dozer is very, very low priority, honestly, because the next big work that anything that the dozer would really be helpful for is some new road access that we need back through the woods way back beyond the terraces that we cut last year. Just be one of those things, we get it fixed, we get it working, we use it for the little bit of cuts that we need, and then we look to resell it and flip it.
Yeah, for
profit off the top and
for better equipment or other things that benefit the property.
Apply the money into other projects or however.
You are preparing for a trip, and because we bought a piece of equipment on the auction.
Yes, we bought a piece of equipment.
And you're heading towards Colorado, and it's going to be that I-80, which is
I-80 is
notorious.
Yep, it's the problem this time of year. It's notorious for getting shut down. For those that know, the I-80 across southeastern Wyoming or southern Wyoming, the winds and the drifts and that road's just, it can be really bad. Every year there's at least one major pile up on that freeway. Mm-hmm. We didn't say what it was though.
No, we haven't yet. I just know that it has a closed cab and a buddy seat, and that was the only thing that I cared about.
It's a road grader. It's a road grader. We found a good, what I feel really good and confident about it. It's an old road grader. It's an old Wabco and like a 1960 model military kind of spec road grader. In fact, it's still has the Army Corps Engineer tags, the big manufacturing spec detail tag on it. But it's a solid machine. Instead of having hydraulic cylinders to activate everything, it's got worm gears and screw gear mechanisms to operate things, which, you know, that can be a problem if one of those breaks. It can be really difficult to repair or replace, especially if there's no parts available. The problem, it's getting coolant in the engine oil. I know engines enough. I know that there's, on a diesel engine, there's a couple causes that can come from. Kind of know what I'm dealing with there. I'm like, okay, a high likelihood it needs a full overhaul of the engine. Well, it's a Cummins 4B engine. It's an old 4B model, but it's an early model, but it's a Cummins 4B engine. But they start it, it runs, all of the functions function. It drives forward, back, all the movements and mechanisms work. Everything's functioning. It's just getting coolant in the oil. I sat down, I'm like, gosh, it's still at $1,500. And you're like, well, just buy it. And I'm like, so I put a few bids in and kind of went through the first little bit. And long story short, we ended up buying it at $2,750. So with the fees, auction fees and consignment, everything like that, we were $2,800 for this freaking 12-foot road grader.
That's crazy.
It is insane. And sometimes we've actually had a few situations like it. In fact, our tractor is exactly the same kind of scenario.
And your dump truck too.
Where it just kind of went under the radar, and it went through an auction and it just didn't pick up attention. And I happened to be watching it and happened to catch it at the right time and bid on it.
So if you were to pick which piece of equipment is going in the shop first, is it going to be the road grader or the dozer?
I think it has to be the road grader. because we're right kicking off into mud season.
Okay, one more question. And it's just off topic completely.
Oh, okay.
And let's see if you remember. How long have we been together?
It would be, what year is it right now?
2025.
2025. So this fall would be 14 years.
14 years.
Do you remember how?
I don't. I always
I knew
say.
it. I'm like, it's pretty safe. I could say probably just about anything because you won't remember.
This is what I do. I always say, like, if somebody asks me how long we've been together, I thought it was 14, but I always say, give or take a year. So there you go. It's a safe answer.
I'm like, I don't think you remember when, but yeah, I think it would. I could about said anything and have been fine, and you've been like, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Say the same thing. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, guess that's what happens when you've been married for 97 years.
Yeah. We get along pretty good, and we're a pretty fun couple. So it's been a good ride. Well, that's it for today. You get this. Yeah.
You let me off the hook easy.
Yeah, next time I'll have more. So, but
Okay.
I think those are the hardest questions that are out there on the internet for Mount Maple Ranch right now. So,
Yeah, those aren't bad.
one of the big decisions that we have made for this year is we're actually not going to run our campsite this year.
Yes.
I decided, I think I've been pushing for it for a minute because
I think you've been pushing for a break.
I want
of a break.
I would like a break.
I've always said, well, gosh, it's just such an easy revenue source, and it's not that big a deal, for us to manage it.
Yeah.
And stuff. But you brought up a really good point about the space for this year, and I'm on board. So your turn to elaborate on that.
Okay. Well, one of the things is I really would like to get the front yard landscaped a little bit better. We have a full sprinkler system already bought and ready to go, and we just haven't had the time to get it installed and assembled and get it ready. And there's still quite a bit of trees that need to come down, and still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I just really would like to see green grass there. I'd like to see the yard cleaned up. And with having campers almost every single weekend, and some during the day, not during the day,
During the week.
and some during the week, we struggle to keep any kind of grass in that area. We are also going to be building a building for horses, mostly for the horses, but during the winter time, all the hay eaters will go there. We need to get water towards that area so we can keep the small pasture watered and have green grass. And we also need to make sure that everything is fenced in and we have a roof. I think that's all we kind of are doing this year on that.
Mostly we're building a big giant structure right next to the campsite.
Yes.
And we're trying to get the sprinkler system in the lawn. We planted some seed, we water it, we manage it, we mow it, but it's patchy because we can't water it it's hard to water because of the slope.
The slope and also
balance between campers.
Balance between campers. And we need to get quite a bit of work done down there.
Yes.
Then the other big part is I want to redo the pavilion, not redo it, but just like get the pavilion. It needs a facelift.
It needs a maintenance.
It needs a really good maintenance.
The pavilion needs a good sanding and another recoating of the stain on the deck planks and stuff. And it's hard to do that because it's got to be warm enough to do that. And you have to have enough break and enough time for it to cure fully and cure all the way, and give yourself time for the prep. So there's you almost need like a solid week to spend like a day or two prepping and getting everything ready, and then coat it, and then give it 3 or 4 days to fully cure before you get any traffic on it.
Right.
And it's just hard to do that because our season pretty well kicks off like usually the first part of May, before even Memorial. That's hard because during the first part of May, it's still too cold to put stain on very well.
Yeah.
And so then you're mid-season in the middle of the swing of that. And
the other part is
so.
we're going to be moving the outhouse to where if we do decide to continue the campsite, then it's closer to where the camp is and it's away from the horses.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want a huge interaction between the campers and the horses because hell, they're just getting used to us. So why spook them with kids and whatever?
Well, and it's mostly the building. 'Cause
yeah.
It is going to be a closed building with that end kind of open, like a 3-wall barn kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it changes, like it makes it hard for us to go to the horse barn to do anything because then that's like right at the camp proximity.
Right.
So it makes it hard. If we move the bathroom, the outhouse, we move it up closer to the camp zone, it ends up giving us like a 50-60 foot barrier, like buffer zone. It gives us a much bigger buffer zone between the building and what's actually the campsite.
Yes.
And so it really resolves a lot of that. Like,
yes.
Well, is that your space or is that our space?
Yeah.
When we're here? So.
And I also would like to build up my perennial flowers and my perennial just anything. We bought a bunch of seeds this year.
That's the part I'm the most excited
for.
for.
And we'd like to see more color out there. We'd like to see just a better landscaping all around. So that's just going to be the thing that I really, really want to get done this year. And and I feel like I need to take a break. And I have a feeling, knowing myself, that this might be something I might want permanent. I might just want the campsite to be closed permanent. I could see myself being in that space, landscaping it, taking care of my flowers, taking care of my garden, having the closed pavilion, having a bathroom close by, having the horses. I could just see it being like my summer place. So I just don't know if I'll be doing it again. It was a good little income ride for a little while, but I feel like whether it makes money or not, we still have to do what's best for our property and for our animals. And not having the campsite this year will give us that opportunity to take care of them and take care of our property as well. Anyways, that was I have been really thinking about this decision for quite some time. And I went back and forth on it for some time. And yeah, the numbers probably don't match, but it's not about that right now. So it's just about having our place get fixed up even more, because technically we live here and we love it here and we want it to be a beautiful space for us and our family.
A big factor in that is the campsite doesn't owe us anything.
True.
We built the campsite for our personal use, and we built it for our wedding and for our personal use to come up and stay. And we used it for 3 or 4 years. We used it for our wedding. We used it for 3 or 4 years privately, just as our own. And then we decided, well, we don't go down to that space very often right now. We've been going up and staying at the cabin. We don't really spend a lot of time down there. Why not try out this camp rental thing? And we've done it for 3 years now?
It was 3 years.
3 years. So we've made more in those 3 years. We made more than the cost that we put into it to begin with. So it's already kind of paid back for itself. It doesn't owe us anything.
I just hope that we don't regret the decision. I just don't think we will. I think it's, like I said before, you need to take care of our property and we need to take care of our animals and have accessibility to all of it. Well, that's all I got for Mark. I'm gonna help him kind of clean up around the shop and get him all ready for the trip. But I thought those were two really kind of important things to talk about, especially when we're gonna bring in the grader in here right off the bat here pretty soon. I think probably in the next couple of weeks. Also know that our videos are usually like a week behind. So like if you're watching our video, it's not, it's usually the week behind because editing takes time, and we work full time. So it just takes a little bit of time. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. It's pretty awesome to have really great questions for Mark where I could come and interrupt him and ask away.